Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We have a case regarding taking possession of a commercial property by a mortgage lender once the borrower went into default on the mortgage. So the case name is This Numbered Company versus Johnny's Antiques Limited. And as I mentioned, at hand is a commercial property. The mortgage went into default. Power of sale was exercised. Demand letters were issued. The notice of sale went out. But in this case, the property appeared to be vacant. The registered mail was unclaimed. The process server could not find anybody. And so the mortgage lender, wanted to take possession of this property, and the bailiff went there to change the locks, and the bailiff encountered no resistance. But what happened next is interesting. The borrower actually broke into the property multiple times, and the police had to be called, and he actually had to be arrested. And the borrower then actually brought a motion to get possession of this property back and to have a certificate of pending litigation, a CPL, registered on the property. So this borrower wanted the property back, essentially, wanted possession back, and felt that the lender taking possession was improper and illegal. So what did the court decide here? So the court in this case decided that a court order is not always required for a mortgage lender to take possession of a property. The focus here is on how possession is taken, because the lender has to take possession peaceably. That is the key word here. I think the common thread here in these cases, this one and other ones, is that the courts want the lender to maintain the peace here. They don't want there to be fighting or shouting. So if the possession will be peaceable, and of course that's, we have to look at the case law to see what that means in various situations, but we of course don't want there to be physical violence or perhaps even yelling and shouting, disturbing the peace type stuff. So the lender has to take peaceable possession, and the courts will look at the conduct in the situation. So, for example, did the borrower voice any opposition to the lender taking possession? Did the borrower say, "Hey, don't come in, don't change the locks," things like that? Did the lender know if there would be serious resistance? Did the lender know if the property was occupied by the commercial tenants in this case? So the court took that all into account, and because there was no evidence of resistance to the lender and no evidence that anybody was occupying this property, and also the registered mail was being unclaimed, the process server didn't find anybody, the bailiff did not encounter any resistance in changing the locks, the court found that the lender's actions were justified here. The lender was valid in taking possession and did so peaceably. And the court actually distinguished this case versus another case, and suggested that there is a difference also between commercial and residential properties. Essentially, residential properties are held to a higher standard, let's say, and in those situations, it's probably wise to get a court order to be safe. So that's kind of a distinction that the courts made, that in commercial properties, it might be easier for the lender to take peaceable possession compared to residential properties. So the key lesson here, as I mentioned, is that lenders, when taking possession of a property which is in default of the mortgage, they have to do that peaceably. And of course, that's not super easy to define. We have to look at the case law. But some key things that the court pointed out is we want to make sure that there's no serious resistance, that the peace will be maintained, that there won't be any fighting and things like that, and yelling and shouting, any kind of resistance. So that is the key thing. Possession has to be taken peaceably, and if the property appears to be vacant, the borrower is not voicing any opposition to the lender taking possession, then the lender likely can take possession peacefully and be justified in doing so, and to be able to fight off any court proceedings by the borrower to take back possession. So I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.